There are a few things certain in life. One is death, lucky us. The other is apparently taxes. You hear that, Wesley? But I've got one more thing to add to the list. Rick and Morty being the biggest TV show on the planet. You know, as soon as Game of Thrones is finished. Rick and Morty is bigger than just about anything. Bigger than House of Cards, bigger than The Defenders, bigger than the upcoming Call of Duty game, bigger than your mama's ass. Previously a show for die-hard indie sci-fi fanatics, Rick and Morty is now as mainstream as Coca-Cola and white girl memes, which means everyone and their fat-ass mama is talking about it. The rise of Rick and Morty has, of course, given birth to some pretty wild fan theories about where the show will go. Apparently we can no longer just watch a show for the sake of it. We have to dig deeper and deeper until we find some secret core, a core that probably doesn't even exist. Now don't get me wrong, I love a good theory, but sometimes it's just way too easy to shift a few things around and point to a couple of pieces of supposed evidence while blindly ignoring a mountain of other facts that actually prove the contrary. Rick and Morty is not safe from these kinds of theories, and here are some of the most popular ideas circulating the internet that are complete and total bullshit. Rick is a genius because of mega seeds. In the pilot, Rick introduces Morty to these powerful fruits called mega seeds. Unable to smuggle them through customs, Morty ends up putting them way up his butt. Eventually, they turn him super intelligent, briefly, then into a gabbling mess for a much longer period of time. This theory states that Rick is actually super smart because he's using mega seeds, that his drink he's always glugging is actually mega seed juice or something. But that is total bullshit.
Well, that's retarded.
In multiple episodes, Rick is away from his drink and access to mega seeds for an extreme length of time, including that episode with the car battery and the one where he goes back crazy and collapses an intergalactic government. His intelligence never drops as a result of his lack of potential seed drink. We also know it is only short-lived, so he'd have to constantly be topping up to stay Rick level smart. There's also the argument that in order to get the seeds in the first place, Rick would have needed to create his interdimensional portal gun to access them, which would mean he was already smart enough to get them without the seeds. Rick knows he's in a cartoon. Rick is famous for breaking the fourth wall.
You got roll credits. Just shake that ass. Roll the credits. Go. Just shake that ass. That's the end of season 1.
He also has a box that allows him to view every show on TV in every conceivable reality. This has led some to think that Rick must know he's in a TV show, that he's seen his own show on his interdimensional cable box, which is why he occasionally chats to the audience. The theory states that he understands his purpose is to entertain, so entertain he does.
Oh, we'll be right back.
But of course, this is bullshit. Rick is the smartest man in every conceivable reality.
Once we give you this technology, you become the smartest thing in every conceivable universe.
He's more intelligent than anyone in our reality, and he knows it.
All you know is that you know nothing and he knows everything. And, well, he's not a villain, Summer, but he shouldn't be your hero. He's more like a demon or a super f***ed up god.
Watching Rick, do you really think he'd be content just living a life to entertain us, the Rick and Morty viewers? No, he'd be out of there and into the real world faster than you can flee a planet where everything is on a cob. If Rick knew he was in a cartoon, he'd have already escaped. Plus, we're sort of cheating, but the creator Justin Roiland basically confirmed this theory as bullshit, saying that the fourth wall breaking is just them messing around and not supposed to inspire any sort of crazy fan theory. Good job, guys. Rick and Morty are the same person. So this one's been floating around for a while now, but picked up a bit of steam when the Rick Shank Redemption aired and Rick was revealed to be wearing blue pants, suspiciously like Morty's. There's actually other evidence for this theory too. Rick's wife Diane, who may or may not be real, looks kinda, not really, like the gal Morty has a crush on in Anatomy Park. The theory goes that Morty went back for her. This is a bit of a stretch, to be honest. Morty didn't seem to have that much of a connection with this girl, not enough to have gone back to find her anyway, but then their paths could have crossed again. Maybe Rick made Pirates of the Pancreas too. Other evidence is apparently this weird amalgamation of Rick and Morty, and the fact that Rick tells Morty he cannot possibly hide mega seeds up his butt, because they would just slide right out of there.
They'll fall right out of mine. I've done this too many times, Morty.
Which is exactly what will happen to Morty if he keeps ramming mega seeds up his ass. So why is this theory bullshit? Besides the contrived nonsense, in the memory from which the biggest part of the theory is founded, the one involving those sweet, sweet pants, we see Rick being visited by a future Rick, in which it is revealed he'll soon make an interdimensional portal gun. Yet if Morty were Rick, he'd be well aware of the portal gun and what it can do. We then see Rick is about to give up on science before his family are killed, which kind of makes no sense if Morty is actually Rick, as he'd be well aware of what he becomes. Also, would Morty want to build a portal gun and become Rick, knowing full well who he is? Not our sweet Morty. If we take this whole scene to be what Rick actually says it is though,
Totally fabricated origin story.
and discount the blue pants and all, there are other things that point to Rick and Morty being individuals. For one, we see Rick when he's a teenager as Tiny Rick. He looks like Rick, not Morty. Rick also needs Morty's brainwaves to disguise himself, which I'm pretty sure they ripped out Futurama, because they're the exact opposites. Even if he aged and changed, surely his brainwaves would still be Morty waves. And way back in the pilot, when Rick and Morty encounter a weird spider monster thing, Rick's response is this.
Holy crap, Morty, run! Morty, run! I've never seen that thing before in my life, Morty! I don't know what the hell it is!
If he were Morty, he would have seen it before. Finally, and most conclusively, in Season 3, Episode 6, before Rick is about to be killed, he implants himself into Toxic Rick. He comes out the other side as Baby Rick and quickly grows into himself. Just watch the transition. Does that look like Morty to you? Evil Morty is Rick's original Morty. This is basically the master theory of Rick and Morty. You'll find countless examples of people spouting off about how Morty is actually not Morty from our Rick's original reality, and in fact, Evil Morty is Rick's original Morty. The evidence is this. In the intro scene, we see Rick leave Morty for dead. Evil Morty is clearly trying to lure out C-137 Rick in particular, perhaps in revenge for being left for dead. When Rick is held captive, we see him interact with baby Morty, but he didn't appear in our current Beth's life for many years after Morty's birth, which apparently means the Morty we follow now isn't that Morty, meaning Rick had another Morty. You guessed it though, this theory is total bull. Let's address that Rick sees baby Morty. Do you see Beth here? No. Has Beth been proven to be an irresponsible parent? Yes. As has Jerry, driving while eating rum raisin ice cream. For Christ's sake, Jerry. It's entirely possible Morty was left alone, which drew Rick to him. The biggest problem with this theory, though, again, comes from the creators. But this time it isn't them casting aside the idea completely, but instead in the words that they've said about how they make the show. Previously, they've stated that you cannot leave clues in shows anymore, because the viewing public is like a hive mind. They'll figure it out before you can ever offer a meaningful payoff. Evil Morty being the original C-137 Morty is just far too signposted to ever be a good reveal in their eyes. They've also stated they spent hours and hours poring over Evil Morty. For them just to come out with something so simple would be ridiculous, considering the hours they've spent developing the idea of Evil Morty. So no, when we finally find out what Evil Morty is up to, he won't just be Rick's original Morty. They'll have made sure it's something you'd never have seen coming. That's it guys, have we missed any total bull Rick and Morty theories? Let us know. Thanks for watching, and as Rick would say,
Lick, lick, lick my balls! Yeah!
no, but seriously, thanks for watching. I've been James from Two Honest Guys. If you're looking for more Rick and Morty content or anything else related to TVs, movies and video games, be sure to visit our website linked in the description below. Peace!